years interest-free and next-day delivery. It's only possible at Furniture Max.
Good morning, America. Jeff Bezos bombshell. The richest man in the world now taking on America's biggest tabloid, accusing the National Enquirer's publisher of blackmail and extortion for threatening to publish private photos of the Amazon founder.
Breaking overnight, the major Supreme Court decision, Chief Justice Roberts casting a surprise vote, siding with his liberal colleagues.
In the developing.
ABC News exclusive, one-on-one with Ivanka Trump. The revealing new interview about her family and her father, answering critics who say she's been silent on too many major issues.
I think that when you hear me start to speak publicly on an issue that's active, it's because my voice isn't being heard privately.
Only on GMA this morning.
Chilling confession. The secret recording. The young man accused of killing his childhood friend, and the moment that tape is played in court.
Hot air balloon hero, the pilot trying to make an emergency landing, and the landscaper who leaps into action.
And Ariana Grande saying thank you next to the Grammys. Now calling the show's producer a liar as she drops a smash hit album overnight, already topping charts.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Well, good morning, America, and thank you for watching. That's right. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Good Friday here with Cecilia in the studio with us.
Hey, it's good to be here with you guys. It is a busy Friday morning.
Well, it sure is, and we're going to begin with that bombshell from Jeff Bezos of Amazon. The world's richest man is taking on the publisher of the National Enquirer, accusing the media giant run by a longtime friend of President Trump of trying to blackmail him with compromising photos. Now, instead of giving in, Bezos counterattacked in public. ABC's Lindsay Davis starts us off with the details. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, George. A bold move here by the richest man in the world. He's essentially saying, expose me? No, I'll expose you. In addition to accusing the publisher of the National Enquirer of extortion and blackmail, he's also publishing tell-all emails that he says are from AMI as proof.
This morning, Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, is taking on a media titan. In a bombshell blog post, the billionaire accuses AMI, the publisher of the National Enquirer, of blackmail and extortion. According to Bezos, AMI threatened to publish embarrassing, intimate photos of the Amazon founder unless he stopped his investigation into just how the National Enquirer obtained text messages between Bezos and his reported girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez. Those messages splashed across the pages of the Enquirer just days after Bezos and his wife announced they were getting a divorce. In exchange for not running the new pictures, AMI demanded Bezos stop accusing the Enquirer of politically motivated reporting, calling the claims defamation. Bezos writing in a blog post, "Of course, I don't want personal photos published, but I also won't participate in their well-known practice of blackmail, political favors, political attacks, and corruption." Also noting the publication had the confidence to put their so-called threats in writing. He shared an alleged email sent from AMI's chief content officer describing multiple personal photos they had obtained of Bezos, including a below-the-belt selfie, several suggestive photos of Sanchez, and a selfie of Bezos wearing nothing but a white towel and his wedding ring. Bezos, who's worth a reported $137 billion, wrote, "If in my position I can't stand up to this kind of extortion, how many people can?" The National Enquirer has long been known for its shocking headlines and salacious scoops over the years. Now Bezos, who's also the owner of the Washington Post, says the National Enquirer's reporting on his personal life may be politically motivated, referencing Pecker's reported attempts to expand his business to Saudi Arabia, and pointing to the AMI chief's close relationship with the president, who has reportedly mocked Bezos as Jeff Bozo on Twitter and made light of his pending divorce. The tabloid and its parent company are run by David Pecker, a longtime friend of President Trump. Last year, AMI reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors in exchange for immunity.
They got O.J., they got Edwards, they got this. I mean, if that was the New York Times, they would have gotten Pulitzer Prizes for their reporting.
The company admitted to so-called catch-and-kill tactics at the direction of members of Trump's campaign, paying thousands of dollars for the rights to stories that could be damaging to the then candidate and making them disappear.
And overnight journalist Ronan Farrow tweeted that he and at least one other prominent journalist also received threats of blackmail from AMI. He says that they were targeted while working on stories about the National Enquirer's arrangement with Trump. We reached out to AMI for comment, but did not hear back. George.
Okay, Lindsay, thanks. Whole bunch of everything going on in this story. Law and media politics. We have the perfect person to talk to about it. Dan Abrams.
Unbelievable. I mean, this story is just amazing.
So let's start out. We saw what's in Jeff Bezos' letter. Does what he described meet the legal definition of extortion, blackmail?
Maybe. First of all, under federal extortion law, you would need a threat and you'd need to be demanding something of value. There's a question as to whether this was an overt, specific threat or just a suggestion. There's also a question about whether it was something of value. And also, American media's defense here would be it was a dispute. They were going to publish something false in the Washington Post. We were telling them what we would publish. We were trying to negotiate this, and this was all part of the negotiation. So there is a line here, and the question is, did they cross it? There's also possible state crimes as well. In New York, it's a little easier to prosecute something like this.
The other legal twist here, remember, David Pecker was cooperating against President Trump in that campaign finance case, the payoffs to Karen McDougal, Stormy Daniels. Does this complicate that cooperation agreement he had with prosecutors here in New York?
If there's a crime, yes. So one of the conditions of his agreement is that they would not commit another crime. And so if it is determined that this was a crime, this could be a huge problem for his cooperation agreement. But again, that brings us back to question one, which is it a crime? Would they prosecute? You know, again, I think it's a close call.
So let's go to the media side of it right now. Bezos has basically dared the National Enquirer to publish those photos.
Yeah.
What happens next?
So I do think there's still copyright issues, which he mentions in his letter as well, which is the person who takes a picture owns the copyright to the photo. There's an exception called fair use, which means if it's newsworthy, it's something that is worth commenting on, that's important enough. And the American media would say, for example, that him taking a picture of himself at a business meeting could be newsworthy. I don't know that that's a really easy argument, but that's a civil issue, not criminal. That's about money damages, not about prosecution. But I think there's going to be hesitation on their part.
The other thing Bezos throws out there is that there are multiple other independent investigations now going on of the National Enquirer.
And now you have to ask yourself, is there going to be a larger investigation here into American media's practices from a criminal perspective, not just from a sort of journalistic perspective?
Ronan Farrow talking about those threats that he got as well.
Yeah.
Dan Abrams, thanks very much. Michael?
All right, thank you, George. And now to new trouble in Virginia, where the political chaos is escalating this morning as a fourth top official comes under fire. The state Senate Majority Leader is now facing questions about a yearbook featuring racist photos and slurs. Our Chief National Affairs Correspondent, Tom Yamas, is tracking it all from Richmond. And Tom, this is truly chaotic in Virginia.
That is right, Michael, and good morning. Now, Virginia's elected Democrats are still calling on Governor Northam to resign. Remember, he is a Democrat as well. But when it comes to Lieutenant Governor Fairfax and those sexual assault allegations, they're asking for more answers, some even calling for an investigation, but no one's actually taking action and launching an investigation. This morning, Virginia lawmakers trying to work through scandal after scandal, which has some asking who's in charge. Governor Ralph Northam hasn't been seen in public since Saturday, when he admitted to appearing in blackface back in 1984. And Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax accused of sexually assaulting Dr. Vanessa Tyson, a political science professor, back in 2004 at the Democratic National Convention. Dr. Tyson said the encounter left her in tears.
Do you remember Dr. Tyson ever crying? Look, it's good to see you. Do you remember Dr. Tyson ever crying? Good to see you guys. We're heading to session.
Fairfax, who didn't want to comment, has said the encounter was consensual and has described the allegation as part of a smear campaign. Local and national Democrats, including presidential candidates, calling for an inquiry.
I think there should be an investigation to get to the bottom of it and determine the facts.
And now a Republican having to explain something from his past. The Virginian Pilot newspaper reporting that Senate Majority Leader Thomas Normant was managing editor of the 1968 yearbook of the Virginia Military Institute, which featured several students in blackface and comments with racial slurs. Senator Normant later saying he was not in any of those photos and that he advocated for racial integration when he was at VMI.
Senator, how do you explain to Virginians that you said you supported integration at VMI in 1968, yet there were all those racist photos and slurs in that yearbook? How would you explain that to Virginians?
Well, when I was there were no ladies and there were no minorities other than Asian minorities that were there. And it was very apparent as we moved into the late 60s and into the 70s that attitudes were changing.
Now, both the governor and the lieutenant governor have issued signs that they are not resigning. As for the attorney general, you'll remember he also admitted to appearing in blackface. It seems elected Democrats are taking his apology as more sincere than the governor's because they're standing by him. Cecilia?
A lot of questions about how they're going to move forward there. Tom, thank you. We do want to turn now to that breaking Supreme Court news. Chief Justice John Roberts casting that surprise vote overnight in a Louisiana abortion case, siding with his liberal colleagues. The move temporarily stops the state from enforcing new regulations that would require abortion providers to have admitting privileges at hospitals within 30 miles. This is a rule that critics say would force the closure of 1 or 2 of Louisiana's 3 abortion clinics. The newest Supreme Court Justice, Brett Kavanaugh, wrote the dissenting opinion, and this is the first significant order on abortion since Kavanaugh joined that bench. A lot of eyes on that one.
The first thing we're seeing now, this is only stopping it temporarily. They're likely to take on the bigger case. That'll be a blockbuster case next term.
Exactly.
Okay, we're going to go to Congress now, where the Democratic House is ramping up investigations into the Trump administration. Acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker will face questions today about the Russia investigation as negotiators appear to be nearing a deal to avoid another shutdown before next Friday's deadline. Our senior congressional correspondent Mary Bruce is on Capitol Hill with the latest. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, after a heated standoff here, the acting attorney general will testify this morning before the House Judiciary Committee. But for a while yesterday, it was unclear whether this hearing was even going to happen. Democrats are eager to press Whitaker on his communications with the president and the special counsel, especially why Whitaker refused to recuse himself from overseeing this investigation, even though top ethics officials at the Justice Department said he should, and whether Whitaker's past statements about this investigation have interfered at all with his supervision of it. And George, if he isn't forthcoming, or if there are questions that Whitaker feels he cannot answer, the Democratic chairman, Gerald Nadler, doesn't seem to be ruling out the possibility of a future subpoena.
And Mary, the Democrats seem really loaded for bear this morning, just a few moments ago, unleashing new information about Whitaker.
Yeah, there are questions now. Democrats saying that he was involved in this alleged scheme, and that he wasn't prepared to pay back payments, fraud payments to victims from this company that was alleged to be involved in this scheme, George.
And meantime, we are seeing new progress in those border negotiations.
Yeah, negotiators I've talked with, George, are optimistic here that they can reach a deal in the coming days, and both sides do appear to be giving here. Democrats seem willing to provide more funding for fencing along the border wall. Republicans are conceding that they are not going to get that full $5.7 billion that the president has been demanding to build his border wall. But the question remains whether the president can get on board, and of course he hasn't ruled out the possibility of still declaring a national emergency.
Okay, Mary Bruce, thanks very much.
Okay, staying on Capitol Hill now to the outpouring of love coming in for the longest-serving member of Congress, John Dingell. The former representative from Michigan passed away at 92 years old. The Democrat served as a congressman for nearly 60 years, fighting for civil rights, Medicare, and the environment. He was elected to Congress at the age of 29. President Obama awarded him the Medal of Freedom in 2014. His wife, Debbie, is currently serving in his old seat. She released a statement saying, in part, he will be remembered for his razor-sharp wit and a lifetime of dedication to improving the lives of all who walk this earth. And that is so true. You know, he was a fierce defender of the auto industry. That was where his district was from. But in more recent years, his Twitter account was really something to watch. She talked about that wit, so funny. And he didn't shy away from giving it to the president.
I have to say, I was surprised to read his Twitter account in recent years, because I actually had the privilege of working with him in Congress many years ago, and he was a courtly man, a real gentleman, but as you say, also a fierce legislator. He made a difference in the lives of millions over many years. Real giant of the House.
He sure was.
And our prayers with his family. All right, thank you guys. And we're going to turn now to that dangerous winter storm with heavy snow causing scenes like this in Minnesota, where schools there have been shut down, and now millions are bracing for a major Arctic blast. Ginger's tracking the latest. Good morning, Ginger.
Michael, I think this image tells it all. This is a picture of a tree encased in ice, entire areas, including my parents' backyard. That's actually where that picture was taken. Now they don't have power. So after all of this ice hits, the snow hits, you don't have power and you go into a ridiculously cold weekend.
Blinding whiteout conditions and sub-zero wind chills shutting down interstates in the northern plains. Roads blanketed with up to a foot of snow. Cars skidding, sliding, stuck in ditches. State troopers in Minnesota digging themselves out. Freezing rain in Michigan coating roads, trees, and power lines with up to a half inch of ice. At least 130,000 customers in West Michigan will go into the very cold weekend without power. Ahead of the storm, dozens of record highs tied or broken from Georgia to Maine. Major flooding in Ohio from ice jams caused by that huge warm-up. A 15-year-old unaccounted for after falling through the thawing ice on the Muskegon River. At least 6 reported tornadoes in the past 2 days. This damage from an EF1 tornado in Arkansas. A train knocked off its tracks by 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts in southeast Missouri. Water rescues in Dixon County, Tennessee, vehicles submerged. Route 66 washed away. Up to 6.5 inches of rain near Nashville.
This cold front is far-reaching. Dallas to Little Rock this morning, waking up in the last 24 hours to about a 50-degree temperature drop. And here's where we'll all wake up with wind chills sub-zero from Chicago to Detroit, close to it at Buffalo. This is for tomorrow morning. Even Atlanta, Michael, had an 80-degrry record high yesterday. Going to feel like freezing tomorrow.
We thought it was over, Ginger. I guess not. I guess not. Well, thank you.
February.
Nope.
Eventually it will be, everybody. But now we're going to go to that Grammys drama as Ariana Grande climbed the chart with her new album this morning. She has taken on the show's producer over her canceled performance. Adrienne Bankert is here with more. It's a lot of drama, Adrienne.
There's always some drama ahead of the show, right? At midnight, Ariana Grande dropped the new album and a racy music video, while the industry is still talking about how she refuses to take the Grammy stage this weekend.
Usually don't give it away,
Overnight, after weeks of anticipation, Ariana Grande dropped a new album and a new music video.
Break up with your girlfriend, 'cause I'm bored.
The surprise release causing an online frenzy among fans and sending her sales skyrocketing. The Thank You Next singer seems to be everywhere, but one place you won't see her is at this weekend's Grammys, as Grande engages in an online feud with Grammy producer Ken Ehrlich. Ehrlich tells the Associated Press the singer bowed out of performing at the award show because she felt it was too late for her to pull something together. Grande fired back, tweeting saying, "I've kept my mouth shut, but now you're lying about me. I can pull together a performance overnight, and you know that, Ken." Grande's tweet continues, "It was when my creativity and self-expression was stifled by you that I decided not to attend." The 7-ring singer is up for 2 awards, including Best Pop Vocal Album. The uproar leaves many observers wondering who will and who won't be at Sunday's Grammys in Los Angeles. One artist likely won't be allowed to attend at all because of an immigration issue. Rapper 21 Savage remains in ICE custody after being arrested last week in a multi-agency operation in Atlanta, where he lives. He was set to perform at the Grammys, but now faces deportation.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4.
It was revealed that 21 Savage, whose real name is Shah Yah Ben Abraham Joseph, was born in the United Kingdom and has lived in Georgia since he was 7. There are reports his visa had lapsed. Jay-Z, Cardi B, and others have offered their support on social media. And speaking of Cardi B, she is scheduled to perform on Sunday along with Lady Gaga, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and the Black Panther soundtrack leads Sunday night's nominations. We'll bring all of that to you over the weekend and on Monday.
Big night ahead. Have fun. Got to go with the Ginger now.
And let's get a quick look at what happened. Remember, 5 to 10 feet of snow. This was Donner Summit, California. They're about to get more snow this weekend, even Seattle. Your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the weekend getaway sponsored by Hertz Car Rental.
When you find yourself in a strange land, discover your inner hero and unlock the power to speed through everything in the blink of an eye. Hertz Fastlane, powered by Clear, in select airports 2019. Hertz, we're here to get you there. Marvel Studios Captain Marvel in theaters March 8th.
From clouds to sunshine, and from mild to cold and windy. That's your day today, so you're going to need a heavier coat by later today. 7 o'clock temperature just 43, tumbling temperatures and wind chills late that'll be in the lower to mid 30s. Your weekend, again, feeling back to winter across the area. Sunshine on Saturday, the high 38. It'll be gusty. And then coming in late Sunday, after that high of 42, I think by 9, 10 o'clock during the overnight period, a little wintry mix, and that is the setup on our 7-day forecast.
Coming up, an ABC News exclusive with Ivanka Trump.
Looking forward to that one. And Murdered for Money, the secret recording and the plot involving a childhood friend. Stay with us.
Almost time for me to go.
Well, what if